Okay, today is going to be very similar to yesterday's 9-5. The difference here is that there is an A now instead of just a B and a C, so that adds a little bit extra work. The idea is still the same. So recall our FOIL method. We multiply the first ones, which would be the green here. Then we do the outside, the inside, and then the last. So this is how it changes for today. So if we look here, product means you're going to multiply. So this space times this one is a product of A. So if we look at the first one over here, we have A, B, C. If it's the product of A, I'm going to list my factors of A. We have 1 and 6, we have 2 and 3. So those are my two options for my first blanks. Then the product of C are the two last ones. So I'm going to list my multiples over here. Factors are 1 and 7. So this one's making it a little bit easier because we don't have very many factors of either A or C. Okay, so if I look over here, my second sign is positive, so that means they're both going to be the same. Since my first one is positive, they are both going to be positive. So I have a positive sign, and I have a positive sign. My variable here is x, but since I have an A, I now have to fill in those blanks and these blanks. Okay, so it's kind of a guess and test. The good thing about this is since 7 only has one set of factors and that my signs are the same, we can just put 1 and 7 in, and then we move the other ones around. Remember, we need the sum to give us a positive 23. So we would have, let's just try. Let's say I put 1 here and 6 here. The outside ones would give me 7x, the inside ones would give me 6x. That gives me 13, and I need 23. So that's not correct. So then you just keep going until you get the correct one. So now my next one, oops, I don't know why that, if I move 6 here, 6 times 7 would give me 42, that'd be way too big. So I know I'm going to have to use 2 and 3, I have to figure out where. Well, if I put 3 here, and 2 here, this gives me 2x, and the outside ones give me 21x. That gives me a sum of 23x, which if you notice, that is what I need. So if I check it to make sure it's right, I do the FOIL method. First ones times each other give me 6x squared. We already did the inside and the outside, and it did give me the 23x, and the last ones give me 7, so it is correct. So that problem being factored is the quantity 3x plus 1 times the quantity 2x plus 7. Example number 2 here. This time it's a negative, so that means my signs are going to be different, which does make it a little bit harder. So I'm going to have 1 minus and 1 plus. My only variable here is d, so I know the first ones have to give me d squared, so I'm going to go ahead and put my d's in. And now I have to figure out what my blanks are going to be. The more practice we do with this, the faster you will get, and you probably won't even have to write down the factors of A or C. So if I look here, the factors of 7 again are 1 and 7, so that makes it easier for us. The factors of 8 are 1 and 8, 2 and 4. And I'm actually not going to put my signs in right now. I'll do that here in just a little bit, because that might mess me up when the signs are different. It's easier to do them later. Okay, since my signs are going to be different, I know the difference has to give me negative 26d. So the difference has to give me 26. Well, I know I'm going to use 1 and 7 because those are the only factors of 7 or of A. So So now I have to play around with the factors of C, which are 1 and 8, 2 and 4. And I need them to subtract and give me 26. If I put 8 here, 8 times 7 is 56, minus 1 would not give me 26. If I put 8 here, 8 times 1 is 8, 1 times 7 is 7, 8 minus 7 is 1, so that does not work either. So now I can try 2 and 4. Well, I know 4 times 7 for my inside ones give me 28D. If I use 4, the factor that goes with it is 2. 1D times 2 is 2D. That would subtract and give me 26D. And the reason I subtracted this time is because my signs are going to be different since the second sign is negative. Well, I need it to be a negative 26. So that means I need this to be a negative 28. So this needs to be a negative 4. And this one would be a positive 2. So if I double check, 1D times 7D is 7D squared. So that checks out. And my pen is being kind of crazy today. And then I look in the middle, so outside 1D times 2 is 2D. Inside negative 4 times 7D is negative 28D. That gives me a negative 26D, so that checks out. And then my last one here, negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. So that also checks out, so this is my correct answer. Example number 3 is factoring out a monomial first. Remember, a monomial is one single term. You are going to be factoring out whatever they have in common. So you're going to basically be factoring out their GCF. So if I look through here, what do the numbers 20, 80, and 35 have in common? And you want to get the biggest thing that they have in common. All three of them can be divided evenly by 5. So basically I'm taking each term divided by 5 to factor it out. That leaves me with 4m squared plus 16x plus 7. And then I double check, can anything go into all three of these, 4, 16, and 7? There's not, so I did get out the GCF. So once I have that, then I can go ahead and I can factor this part. So now I keep the 5 out front. Second one's positive, so that means both of these signs are going to be positive. And now I have to fill in my numbers. Factors of 4 are 1 and 4, 2 and 2. Factors of 7 are 1 and 7. Since my signs are the same, it makes it a little bit easier. And the only factors of 7 are 1 and 7, so they have to go there. And then, since the signs are the same, the sum has to give me 16x. So I need this plus this to give me, well, and this should be an m. I copied that wrong. 16m. So if I put, let's say I put 4 here, that'd be 4, and a 1 here would be 7. 7 and 4 give me 11. I need 16, so it's not big enough. So then if I use 2 and 2, I would get 2m. 2m times 7 is 14m. That does give me 16m, which I need. 1 times 7 is 7. And 2m times 2m is 4m squared. So my answer here, and I'm just going to rewrite it so it makes it easier to see, is 5 times the quantity 2m plus 1 times the quantity 2m plus 7. This whole thing is your solution, because 5 is the GCF, or the greatest common factor, that you factored out to begin with. So anytime they have something in common that can be factored out, you need to do so before you go ahead and do the final factoring. So if I look at this next one, I have 2d squared minus 12d plus 10. They have a 2 in common, so I'm going to factor out a 2. That's basically dividing everything by 2. So I'm left with d squared minus 6D plus 5. They don't have anything else in common, so I did get the GCF. And so now I can factor out. Do not forget the GCF. So I can't forget that too. They're both going to be the same signs. This time they're both going to be negative. And because there's not an A, it makes it easier. It's just going to be D minus something and D minus something. My factors of 5 are only 1 and 5. So this one was very simple. So if I check it, the first ones, oops, I don't want to draw that line, sorry. The first ones times each other give me D squared. Outside ones give me negative 5D. Insides gives me negative 1D, which does give me negative 6D. So these two checked out. And now I need negative 1 times negative 5 gives me positive 5. So it also checks out. So my solution there is 2 times the quantity D minus 1 times the quantity D minus 5. Go ahead and complete the quick checks. And then check your schedule to see what your assignment is that matches with this section.